Shalom. I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to the brothers that teach in his truth and sincerity. Alright, and in truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. 1/3 of sincere listeners. Alright, Yahweh be in the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. And Yahweh Shai be in the name of his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This gospel is truth, the kingdom of heaven, salvation is for the Israelites and the Israelites only, or you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and the ones scattered abroad that may look like the other nations. Where your spirit resonates with this truth, the kingdom of heaven, salvation is for you. All right. Today's topic, video is going to be called Wars in the Air. All right. So it's going to be called Wars in the Air. And it's going to be based off of a few things. You know, a lot of things going on in the world right now. It's definitely going to be based off of this video. Canada doing skilled military recruitment for international, doing the recruitment internationally for their military, right? And he's gonna pretty much say, I'm gonna let him speak, and I'm gonna jump in and pretty much chime in. Okay, but then not only that, you also have the theater of war in the Middle East right now with so-called Middle East, right? With Iran and the USA right now, with the Strait of Hormuz. Esau sending his military ships over, positioning themselves by Iran, and strikes are imminent, all that stuff. Wars, rumors of wars, right? We heard about all that, but like I said, war is in the air. Okay, so we're gonna touch on a few of those things, and bring on some scriptures, and Lord will we be edified. As a side note, sometimes it's not that you don't have a topic; it's like you don't know how to start it off. Sometimes, or it's not even that you don't know how to start off. Maybe you have too many topics and you don't even know what you want to do a video on. Sometimes, brothers might get in that position or that predicament, right? Because I'm speaking for myself right now. You know what I mean? You don't even know what you want to do a topic on. Like, so many topics. Which one's more important? Which one should I do? And honestly, it's all in the spirit, man. It doesn't really matter which one you do. Honestly, you can just, because what I was thinking of doing was just doing like how do you say, like one big various topics, but certain videos need their own quote unquote titles per se, you know what I mean, their own lesson. It's not all videos can just be a various topic, but it's all in the spirit. But sometimes if you got to just do it like that, it's make it a various topic. And for me personally, I see certain things on social media, I'll download the clip, download it, okay, I'm gonna do a video on that, it makes sense, whatever, I can break it down to the scriptures, new stuff comes up. The spirit's always moving, right? So you just gotta just go with it. But if you don't have a topic per se, or you have videos or whatever, just hit the button. Okay, shout out to Apostle Rahman for that one. Just hit the button. Just hit the button. I think he did a video on that recently. That's what he named the video title, right? And really, because yeah, sometimes you're looking for the flashiest headline or the flashiest thumbnail. We're fishers, right? We're trying to fish for the elect, right? So we want to gather in who we can, the righteous of our people, But sometimes it's not always about that. It's about just putting it out into the cloud, man, and letting the Lord do His thing. At the end of the day, letting the Lord work His miraculous works. All right, and I was about to say magic, but Lord don't deal with magic. He does what miraculous works. All right, all powerful, almighty works. But it's just something it's just something in the world people say, oh, work your magic, so to speak. But we know that the Lord don't do that. You see what I'm saying? But it's just a figure of speech. We're in the flesh. We're in this world. It is what it is. Don't mean nothing by it, man. All right, but yeah, I'm gonna let this play. And we get into this. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Joke. You gotta have fun with this as well, right? Anyways, let's play this.
We've got some breaking news coming out of Canada. The Carney Liberal government has launched a new immigrant category for skilled military recruits. You heard that right. They are recruiting immigrants to the military. Now, people are saying it's going to be ex-UK, ex-Irish, ex-Australian. I challenge them to go look at immigration numbers, percentages of where they're coming from. I just don't think the math adds up. Honestly, my bigger question is, will they be allowing people from China to apply to this program? I don't think the U.S.
China. You know, that's actually a good perspective to look at it, because Canada just struck a deal with China the other day. All right, with EVs, whatever, just whatever deal, trade deal, okay? You know, whatever jargon that they discuss. We don't know the full ins and outs of the deals. They'll just tell you the surface level, right? They're not going to tell you the full ins and outs of the deal. All right, how does it benefit you per se? Well, you think it benefits you. It doesn't really benefit you. On the surface, it may, right? You get some EVs. Ooh, get some Chinese EVs. Good price. Good price. Buy. Hurry up and buy. Right? Oh well. But you know, and it goes into the whole hypocrisy with Canada before, because a few years ago, there was this big whole ordeal. I think it was with Huawei. The owner of Huawei, I think she was whoever it was, some Huawei affiliate. They were holding her in the embassy, or what was it, embassy, or not prison, but you know, they were holding her in some sort of a hostage, but you get what I'm trying to say. And she's a Chinese diplomat, so to speak. He or she was a Chinese diplomat, and they were holding them up. They weren't letting them leave. All type of bullshit. But that was pretty much bringing tension between Canada and China over that. But now all of a sudden they're good, right? Which they always were good, because China is the reason why Canada has an economy to begin with, or the reason why Canada's economy is even staying afloat, because of private investment in the real estate market, money laundering, all that stuff. But that's for another day. All right, if you know, you know. Right? Driving up the sales of the housing market, all that stuff, you know, China, right? But yeah, that's a good point you made right there, because how you think the Americans are gonna take that? You know, how you think they take kindly to that, right? But maybe, like I said, I said this before, in the spirit. When World War III kicks off, a lot of these nations, they're not gonna be on the same side, man. They're not, it's not gonna be America. A lot of nations are not gonna be fighting alongside America. Okay. It might be. This is the way I see it. It'd be America as their own military. I'm talking about the initial beginning of World War III. America as their own military. NATO, Canada, excluding the U.S., as their own war front military. Okay, and then you have the BRICS nations as their own little force. So I see three opposing forces, basically, with their own interests. That's how I see this war going in. That's what I see going into this war. Okay, because there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of stuff going on. Canada wants to prop up their military now, firm up their military. Why is that? You see what I'm saying? Or is it because your ties with America are loosening or slipping? Is it by design? Is it on purpose? We want it this way? Was this tough love from America to make sure that you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, to make sure that you're on a level militarily? Or everything is all the will of the Heavenly Father, anyways, right? We're not gonna debate that, But a lot of these Edomite nations, these so-called white nations, are divided. Especially with Trump in power right now, and so you see a lot of things going on, man. Right? I want to finish this video and then I'll bring out some scriptures.
We'll be very happy if we start allowing Chinese into our military on the North American continent. I also have other questions. I thought the Liberal government's push was to increase Canadian Armed Forces pay, increase recruitment and retention, and enhance the equipment that they have. They're just abandoning that promise that they made, or what are they doing? She also
See, I don't know about that. I don't know what exactly their plan is for that. You know what I'm saying? Nor do I care. Right? Um, that's up to Issa Edom. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, like I said, they're building their presence. They're making, they're building their military infrastructure, so to speak.
says the Minister for Immigration says it will help defend our sovereignty and keep Canadians safe. I question that, as when you invite immigrants here to fight and die for a country that's not even their own, will they be willing to do that? I don't know. Also, the Roman Empire did this, and it's shortly before the collapse.
And if you're an immigrant in Canada, you'd be a fucking fool to want to die for Canada. Because Canada, if you have any sense at least, all right? Because Canada, a very racist place. They like to masquerade themselves as kind and nice, but it's very racist, okay? And, you do what you can in this world. You do what you got to do in this world. But, our eyes are open. And, they don't like to see immigrants doing well, especially you Israelites. And what I mean by well is just basic necessities. Having a house, car, job, whatever the fuck. Family, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Doing all right for your family. Doing quote unquote well for your middle class life for your family, so to speak. All right? A middle class life is actually considered a high class life in Canada. Let's put it that way. All right? And if you're doing that, especially as an Israelite, Jake, oh wow, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? And it should never be that way. It's just, I'm just doing what I got to do for my family. I'm providing, doing what I got to do for my family. No fucking big deal. Oh, how is he able to afford that? Fuck off, Esau. Okay? You're a piece of shit. And your kingdom is fallen. And that's why things are happening the way they are. All right?
Germany did this in the 1940s, shortly before they lost the war. What are we doing? I'm curious. I know France has their own, death squad of foreigners, but, what are we doing here, guys? Seriously.
Yeah, what are we doing? Let's see. Yeah. Joel 3 and 6. Yeah, I'll start at 9. Salakia. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Okay. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong, right? Canada is a weak military nation. Okay. They claim to be strong. I don't know how strong they are without the backing of America. So they're trying to be strong now. They're, and so they're saying that, fuck it. We got, war's in the air, man. Fuck all that other talk everybody's saying. War is in the air. And now they're trying to streamline recruitment. So what Doug Ford has done has increased OSAP, the grants for school and the loans for school. Like, pretty much school is pretty much, let's just say 75% grants and then 25% loan. So you only owe back the 25% loan. Now they switched it from 75-25. So less grants, more loan. But if you join the military, you can go to school for free. They can pay, right? So that's their way of trying to boost numbers and trap you people in, right? Because once you're in for at least 4 or 5. I don't know how long the tenure has to be, right? A little duration. Maybe it's 3 years minimum or some shit like that. But you already know within 3 years this shit can go down, baby. We're not gonna be here for long, okay? We're not gonna be here for a long time, okay? We're here, the Israelites, the elect is only here for a good time, not a long time. And the good time is watching this place fall. Okay, I don't mean it in the way of the world. All right, we're not in the house of we're in the house of mourning. We're not in the, you know. I gotta get that. Let me get that. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 7:2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Right? And side note, right? All right, yeah. So, like, let me break this down. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. Right? The house of feasting is that party, mirth, bullshit spirit. Right? And it's not to say you can't go, to a party or go out for a drink or something like that. Okay? But it's balance. What is your mindset overall? Too much of that can throw your spirit off. You see what I'm saying? Too much party and bullshit can throw your spirit off. You don't want to be, and honestly, you don't want to be in certain environments all the time. You don't want to be around people like that. You know what I'm saying? Overall, your spirit can do it a little bit. Pop in, pop out. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be around these people. Don't deserve our presence overall too. They don't understand when we come around. Our presence is heavy. And I'm not just saying this on a cocky level or nothing like that. But right now, as it stands, we're ambassadors for Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So we have a certain aura and a certain way we carry ourselves, and it attracts people. If people are attracted to the light, they don't know why. And at the same time, that attraction does come with a lot of hate. So it's a gift and a curse. So you don't want to be around these people too much, right? But yeah, so we're in the house of mourning right now. Just me doing this video is letting you know I'm in the house of mourning. Okay, why? Because I want Yahushua to return and set up his kingdom and set up the Israelites, set up us on a level, man. And then we'll never be in the house of mourning again. Okay. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about no house of mourning. Maybe you other, you 2/3 Israelites, whatever, you might feel some shame and guilt and whatnot. Lord will, we're of the elect, so we don't have to feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going through these trials and tribulations now. Okay, which is a light affliction, right? The Lord gave us. You know what I mean? And then you can get this one too. Let's just get the damn chapter. I mean, Salakia. Let's just get the chapter. Salakia. It's not damn. Salakia. Ecclesiastes 7:3. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness the countenance of the heart is made better. Verse 4. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Alright. It's better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools, right? So it's better to hear the rebuke from us, right? The wise men, from the apostles and elders on down, GMS, Great Millstone. All right, that's teaching you this word and truth and sincerity, what's really going on. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Because the times to come is not going to be nothing light. And you're going to need a covering in these times. All right. So verse 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men, Joel 3 and 9, come up, beat your plowshares into swords, your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I am strong, assemble yourselves, and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Alright? Let the heathen be weakened and come up the valley of Jehoshaphat. Alright? For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, man. And that's going to be in the Middle East. Okay? Where all the nations are going to be there fighting. That's going to be the epicenter of Yehoshaphat, which is the Lord's judgment. Okay? And that's going to be the epicenter. All you heathen nations, your armies are going to be gathered around. And that's where you're all going to get blown to bits over there. Okay? It's going to be a big bloodbath. okay, and the sacrifice that the Lord requires, okay, from you wicked ass people. Best believe if you get sent over there in the Middle East, you're not coming back home. You're not gonna make it, and that's because of your rebellion. Your rebellion to the Heavenly Father, and you're either a heathen or you're a wicked ass Israelite. And if you're a wicked ass Israelite, it's because of your rebellion. You hated God, right? You hated the ways of the Most High. You hated the Bible, right? You're a mole. You're a blasphemer. You talk shit. You talk shit about the prophets, right? All of that stuff. So that's going to be your judgment, okay? And we're not going to cry about it, okay? Don't expect people to cry about it for you, man. Ain't nobody going to have time to mourn you, you know? Isaiah 63 and 1. Okay, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? All right, it says Yahweh's vengeance on the nations. That is glorious in his apparel, talking about Yahweh Shai, his son, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of blood. The Lord's gonna be killing a lot of people, and there's gonna be a lot of blood in his garments. Okay. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none. This is gonna be in the midst of World War III, while all the nations are fighting, and Yahushua makes his miraculous return with the angels. His magnificent return, his marvelous return, his epic return. Okay? I've trodden the winepress alone, and the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of the redeemed is come, right? The redeemed is of the elect, right? It's going to be our time, Lord will. We're of that number, okay, to be redeemed. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and fury it upheld. And I will tread down the people in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury. And I will bring down their strength to the earth. Right, all that high and mighty shit you Edomites have, whatever, you ain't gonna have it no more. Alright. But yeah, so with that, I'm gonna say Shalom, Lord, you're edified, and to the next one.